SSBL peeps? It's now time for episode 9 of Jacked, and my name is Jay Watt alongside Fisack. And Fisack, this week was an interesting one. Some days were, games where they, every game matters, but less important games. I think it was Monday. I think it was that day. There was one day this week that was like a meh day.
Yeah, there was like a mandate. Also, I mean, speaking of Mech, can we talk about the heroic for a second? Gee,
Yeah,
just utterly demolished this season by the Epic. Like not
yeah,
even,
it wasn't
not even
close.
close.
No.
Not even close. Just utter demolishment.
Yeah, this year's interconference, obviously, we added the second interconference game
And it
to the
didn't help.
schedule, and it did not help. I don't know what was the actual record of that. That's something that we might want to get into, maybe in league
I
chatter, as we go through these games this week. Which Monday was not the game, I don't think. Actually, it kind of was. There was one good game, the Bombers Lumberjacks, which we'll get into in a little bit. But we start off with the Knights. The Knights and the Cyclones. Knights shut them out on the road for nothing. Your thoughts on this one? Cyclones once again just they can't find a win at all, and they couldn't find a run in this one.
Yeah, it is so tough for the Cyclones, man. It's just been that way since season 4, I feel like, where it's just they just hit the bad luck. And I don't think listen, there are for sure weaknesses in their team, right? Like, I'm not here to say that they're the best team in the league by any stretch of the means, but they just always have been outperformed by other teams that they face. It just seems like they never catch a break. And here, especially the Kates, the Knights are able to get a win. And honestly, the Knights are not that far back. They are they're one full game back of the 6th seed. They're 2 games back of the leading 4th seed. They're not gonna do anything to the Lumberjacks, but they're just not going away just yet.
No.
Like we think they will, but they're just sticking around. They're just putting their toes in, just saying, I'm just looking. I'm just having a look here. We're a good franchise, guys. They heard my rant about the
Right.
Lumberjacks. They're like,
Yeah.
we're a good franchise. We're around.
And I think that's what it is. I think it's a lot of these guys are the veterans of the league, and they're not going down without a fight. A lot of these people are going to be out next season as the Knights look to completely rebuild. So I think it's time for these guys to step up. Ding Dong, it's probably his last year. Rock back, Andy Gibbon. I mean, looking at those household names, those guys no longer will be around. So they're putting up a fight for their last little run here. Which also putting up a fight. Express just defeat the Sparrows like easily and get another win. Or like they're obviously now the best expansion team, and they now have the same record as the Skulls, so that's really cool. 4-9 are the Express. This game, another one of those expansion on expansion games where it was pretty predictable. Express are the best expansion team, and we know
Yeah.
that.
And how good are they? Where they're 4-9. They had 3 1-loss games to the Lumberjacks,
Yep.
Retrievers, Knights. They could easily be 7-6 right now.
Yep.
Very easily be 7-6. I know they had some close wins as well, but if you just factor in the games that they should have won, considering that they out-hit the Retrievers, they out-hit the Knights. I don't think they out-hit the Lumberjacks, but they made it close in that game as well. This Express team, I think, he's got some really good foundations for the future, and very clearly, like you said, the best expansion team, full stop.
Yeah, and I'm actually really curious to see, because this is an expansion team that is playing well, but they still have a decent amount of players in their minors, if I'm not mistaken, getting that progression down there. So I'm very curious to see how things go with the roster next season. And they are in that a division that's not easy by any means. But we'll see. We'll see how they end up. The Knights will fall off next season. I think that's where the Express, come chewing in, and potentially could be
Doing it.
come in and possibly, not fight for the division, but they're one of those teams at the top that of this division that could potentially make a playoff spot. Especially with that division is going to sink real quick. Vikings sink.
Are the
Nice.
Express going to be the first expansion side to win their own division?
I if looking at how the spread is of where all these division like these new teams are, Mythic are never going to win their division. I'm sorry, they're never going to win that division. You can't win a division when you have the Unicorns, Wildcats. You have a better shot than the Angels at winning the division, but you are not winning that division. Not unless the Unicorns tank for a season, the same as the Wildcats. But I don't see that happening anytime soon. You look at the Express; they're probably the best bet. Sparrows, they're not winning that hellhole of a division. There's no way in. There's no possible way that they win that division. The only way they even do is if it's like a four-way tie and they get RNG luck, and it's and somehow make it out of a little tournament for that division. But that's not happening. And then we have the Bibberty. That's not
Which,
happening
point
either.
taken.
That's not happening either. So yes, I agree with you. Express are going to be the first ones to win their division out of the expansion teams. We move on to probably one of my favorite games of the week in terms of how the game played out. An insane game. Lumberjacks have a 3-0 lead, and then bottom of the eighth comes, and the Bombers bottom of the eighth, wasn't it? Or no,
Yeah, it was
bottom of
bottom
the
of the
eighth.
eighth. It
The
was
Bombers just wake up, put 4 runs on the board. Ninth, game over. An insane comeback and a massive statement win as well. For who the Bombers truly are, the ability to fall behind 3-0 but stay composed and win against the Lumberjacks team, who, as we had talked about, best franchise in SSBL history, one of the best teams, if not the best team in the heroic season 4 championship rematch. They get their revenge. It was nice to see the Bombers get that victory.
Yeah, and I was talking with Whitney, and we both thought that the Bombers were done after that double steal attempt on third. Runners on first and second, nobody out, bases cleared with 2, and then a strikeout. It's just like
Yeah.
that was a huge momentum killer, but they came back out of nowhere and continued the epic dominance, and is the win that the Bombers needed, especially given that they are still a game back. They're still a game back in the wild card.
Right.
However, a win for them against the Serpents, all of a sudden, they're now in the wild card spot because the High Rollers then move into that division lead. So Bombers needing that win for sure, given their season, given their record, if they want to make it into postseason, and they showed up and they got it.
Yeah. Like I said, statement win as they head into their next game, which is like, I mean, from here on out, every game for the Bombers is a must win. So with it being the Serpents in particular, that was a nice win. They're now on a 3-game win streak, and it's go time for the Bombers, and it's exciting for me to watch them prevail. Now we move on to a Skulls of Rock game, which I love talking about these. The Buzz Yellow comes out and says, "Hey, Dad, you get to start. That's cool. Watch what I can do." Pop.
Hey, Kim Shaw Jr., you know how your dad replaces you in the lineup? Yeah,
Right.
I actually do things.
Right. I actually do things. He goes, I think 4 for 5, has a home run. And the thing is it was a 450-foot or some odd home run, but it felt like it just snuck over the wall because it's Bengata. It just felt like it was like just over. But overdrafts, which I expected this from the very beginning when the overdrafts were on fire to start the season. I'm like, this overdraft game is gonna suck, which it did. Obviously, season 8 rookie Bronco Ford, I believe, started that game, if I'm not mistaken, which was to be expected to get rocked. That is what happened, getting rocked. So Buzz Yellow, though, it's kind of, this might be his, the Buzz Yellow show might start happening going forward. We'll see what happens, in the coming games for the overdrafts, but that's a big time performance by Buzz Yellow, who has, and I think Whitney had the stats. He was batting like 109 or something like that with the Skulls, and now he's batting 260 something or in the 200 mid 200s, which is a nice sight to see for him. So another Skulls effect, where a good player with great stats sucks under the Skulls organization, gets shipped off, does well.
The
It's
Skulls of Rock charity organization has done
yes.
so much good
If
in the SSBL.
if you guys want to trade any of your star-studded players just because they're not performing at the time, send them to me for at least 4 games, and I'll ship them right back to you. Okay? And
It's
then
like a cultural exchange program. They see the environment of the Skulls, and they're like, "Man, y'all really still living off of that season 5 series, huh?"
right, right.
And then
They still have the
immediately,
champagne bottles in the locker room.
they celebrate the champagne every single
Yeah.
game, win or loss.
Yeah.
Like, we're
It's
season 5
actually the preseason.
champion.
They don't drink anything to like get them energized for the game. They just pop in season 5 champagne bottles prior to the games, especially at home, and they take a few on the road. That's the culture of the Skulls. Moving on, those Serpents, they start slow. So I tuned into this game almost like near the halfway point. I'm like, wait, the Walkers are up. This is this gonna happen?
Yes,
And then
and
here
then
it comes. The bullpen comes in, the Serpents strike, and they win 6-2, which, as you know, as we expected that the Serpents to win that game. But Walkers, they start off a little strong, and then they fall flat. So very, very simple win towards the end. Obviously didn't start great for the Serpents, and they also lose who was it, Khan?
yeah, they
They
lose
lose
Con, and
Khan.
they lose her for the next start as well.
Yeah, so that's a big loss for the Serpents, which I think it was the Pulver House got bit by the injury bug this week. I think it
Yeah,
was
that's what we were saying. It was like, man, something's happening. I mean, I know they're moving houses. They need to be careful when they're moving all those boxes because they're losing players left
right.
and right. Short stacks got injured in the Vikings game, so they had to watch out for it. And then I think the Walkers game like really shows like, and we'll talk about it with the ball players' moonshots, but your bullpen matters
Yeah.
this game, this iteration, this patch, and doesn't matter how many old vets you have in the batting lineup. If you've got barely above rising pitchers coming in, which
It's
can we
not
just
pretty.
talk about for a second how cool it is that we have the idea of like a rising player? Like it is so ingrained into our culture, the
Yeah.
like idea of rising players.
Right.
It's just so funny to me.
It's setting the bar of shit. Like you have shit
You
and
are good
dude.
enough to go in. That is it.
If you were below that, let's just go ahead and release you and retire instantly. That's why I like the
Yeah,
instant
literally,
retire
that's the
rule.
rule. Is if you're worse than a rising, you need to be gone.
Yes, you were gone from the league. You hung up your cleats. You're now into a cubicle at like your
It's
some
like John
corporate.
Valjean. Who am I?
uh, moving on, the Angels, and obviously per your stats, which thanks for putting them together in the rankings and whatnot. This is an upset, but not as big of an upset, obviously, as the Stingers, but still a massive loss for the Retrievers, losing to the Angels. And I think we need to start like just having on deck the Angels in the outfield, like everybody just like waving their like doing the angel wings when this happens, or even the sound which we played. There was our home run sound when we had custom home run sound. So maybe we just bring that sound back to where when the Angels start taking the lead, it's just everybody. We might even have to have an Angels animated emote because we can have those. Might need to have one of those just for the lulz, because Angels get another win. How, I don't know, but the Retrievers, I wanted to put them on Panic and Chill again for like the 4th straight week, because it's just every week it's like they get a win, all right, they're chill. They get a loss, oh shit, time to panic. And it's just like back and forth, back and forth. And now they're sitting tied with the wrong fielders for that final spot in that 5th and 6th spot in the heroic, which it's starting to panic again. It's not looking good for the Retrievers.
They have the second easiest strength of schedule. So they've got Overdraft Dragons, Liberty Knights, Lumberjacks. You would think Liberty and Knights are walkovers. You would think they've already beat the overdrafts once, they can do it again.
Right.
Dragons, Lumberjacks, those will be the tough games for them.
Yeah.
I don't know anymore. I fully do not
No.
understand this Retrievers team. They
No.
are like bottom of the SSBL rankings in terms of like the ratings weighted. Like I just don't know.
Which
I
weren't
just don't
they?
know.
Didn't they? For the rankings this week, for the power rankings, didn't they end up like 15th? I think on the
The
community power rankings.
community power rankings are currently 14.
14th.
I'm still waiting for a couple of more responses in.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, they currently have dropped all the way from 12. So they're like honestly in the battle in the weaker half. Like they're with the Knight Skulls Express.
Yeah.
They're not with the Serpents, Dragons, Wildcats, Bombers.
Yeah.
So it's I don't know what to say. I
Yeah.
don't know what to say because they don't know what to do.
Which, speaking of the Wildcats, Wildcats go up 4-0. Wrong fielders get one in the bottom of the 8th. Then the bottom of the 9th, they have bases loaded. They have a sac fly to left, get the runner in from third, and then we're thinking, all right, well, they put in Taco Burns as a pinch hitter, which I think is a great decision because it was I can't remember who it was at the plate, but she was tense, which was obviously not a good situation in that such high pressure moment. Taco Burns, high contact, high power. He hits it hard, but right to shortstop, and ball game is over. So the wrong fielders threatened late, but Wildcats hold on, which this just really, and we'll get into it in a little bit in league chatter. This really starts the heroic picture really getting kind of just like, we're gonna need our red string and this and that, like all over the place to figure out this heroic picture when it comes to the wild card, because every week it's like, all right, these guys are in. Wait, they lost. Now it's just like it's all over the
I fell
place.
to my own Mojo down where I was like, stop saying things are a lock. And I was literally the 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 weeks after the episode aired. So this is a lock, right? And no, it's
No,
not a lock in any
no,
regard.
it's, and with that Knights win as well. Again, and prior to the recording of this, I mentioned the Knights. I don't think they're gonna make playoffs, but they're gonna make it extremely difficult for those the 3 teams above them to make it in. And that's where I think it's going to get very scary. They play the Retrievers, they play the Vikings in back-to-back games. It's going to be a mess, and we'll get into that more later in the episode. But we have the ball players. They have a back and forth matchup between the Moonshots. Moonshots go up 3-0 in the first inning, and then ball players battle back 3-3. Moonshots take the lead 4-3, and then just 7 unanswered from the ball players, and a statement by Barker to hit the 3-run shot to go up 10-4, 10-4 the final score. Moonshots continue to tank, and they're doing it well. And what are they currently at? 0-10.
Yeah,
I think.
also it was a bad break as well because it was ball player 6.5. So I was telling Whitney, it is kind of really funny how close, like for some of them for the upsets it's not close, but I mean Wildcats wrong fielders, Wildcats were 2.5, so it was a bad beat for Wildcats wrong fielders.
Yeah.
For the Bombers Lumberjacks it was a half game. For the Sparrows and Express it was a 2.5. Like it is really really funny how like these forecasts are actually pretty dang close.
Yeah, it's actually quite scary for something, that's it's RNG specific. So it just kind of shows you that yes, it's RNG, but there are some numbers behind it that aren't just
There is
ones and zeros.
science.
Aren't just ones and zeros. And speaking of ones and zeros, Moonshots 0-10, which I want to say is the worst start in SSBL history. Officially, the worst start in SSBL history, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think a team has
I
ever
think
gone 0-10.
yeah,
I
I
think it's
think
been close.
very clearly we've never had an 0-14 team. It would be crazy the fact that we had never had an 0-14 team and the first year it's possible we have an 0-16 team, right? Like
That would be nuts. Which again, props to Pandora for tanking the best way possible. Which moving on, Mythic beat the Bibberty 7-3. So Bibberty still just with that one win, which was part of a power outage, which for the longest time we'll still have a little asterisk next to it, kind of like, hey, this was might not have happened if if the power outage happened, but they still got the win 1-9. Mythic though beat them 7-3. What was the spread on this one?
It was 1.5.
1.5. So yeah, so that was Mythic, right? Mythic over.
Yeah.
So four run win here. Mythic get an easy win. It's kind of expected here against the Liberty. So we move on to probably an extremely large matchup here. And Max Range just went off, hitting 3 home runs. And I said to you, I know that there's at least one game that a player has done this. It was season 1, Brock Yellow against the Angels, when the Angels lost 20-3 when they needed to win to make the playoffs. They lost 20-3 against the Skulls, and Brock Yellow had 3 home runs in that game. And I don't know if it's probably happened at least one more time, but at least Max Range is in good company with Brock Yellow.
But this has got to be the first time where someone enters in with no home runs, goes 4 for 4, hits those 3 home runs, and by the way, that last one is the current season record, 497.
That
It was game. Max Range had the Gauchos number the entire night, and I mean, it's not that big of an upset, to be honest. Like, the High Rollers entering the game, Whitman had not given up a single earned run. High Rollers, we're forgetting the High Rollers are the reigning Season 7 Super Series champions. Like, they put some respect on their name, man. They are not a bad team by any stretch of the means. And, man, it was a good game to watch.
Yes,
it was
absolutely.
Whitney and I were losing it. Actually, he wasn't with me for that one, so it was just me losing it. But
yeah.
it was ridiculous.
Right, and it's the looking at the records for the High Rollers, obviously this being a road game, and we've talked about it, it's basically 50-50 split basically. So looking at it though, they lost their first 2 road games and they won their next 2, lost the Unicorns, and then now beat the Gauchos. They go on the road against the Sparrows next. So that should be an easy one. Then the last road game is a Cyclone, so should end their nice away stretch with some gimme wins, as people are now coining them in the SSBL, gimme wins, and we'll talk about that in Panic and Chill. Which we move on to your game, and this game was one that I thought the Dragons were going to come in. They're going to get a nice little win. Which the Stingers, they just showed up as and it's we talked about it last week where they're here. The Stingers are here. They're here to play. I think they have a chance depending on, I want to say, who is the number 6? Is it based off the number 6 or 7 spot to get the magic number? Is it based off?
It's based off of whoever has the least amount of losses for it. Okay, it depends. Like, so for the magic number, it's based off who has the fewest losses in the non-wildcard teams.
Right,
basically, it's like based off of how.
So the Bombers is currently who they're based off of.
Yes.
So basically, a win for them knocks it to 1. But obviously a Bombers loss knocks it to a clinch of the playoff berth, which could be the first playoff berth of the season. And that would happen in one day, potentially. If that were to happen, that's week 10, day 1 this week, which that's a beefy day. Oh my gosh. That is a beefy day. That's a good one. I'm looking forward to that one. And by the way, though, shout out to No Hummus. We had to give him praise for coming in and kind of stepping into. Are you frozen?
Anyway,
You were,
I'm not.
I thought you were staring for a little bit. On my screen, you were staring off in his face, and I'm like, is he like looking
Well,
something
no,
up?
I'll tell you. Can I tell you what happened? I looked into. I don't know why, but I was like, didn't I have like a gentleman's wager? And I had a wager with running. He thought the Walkers will finish within 1 EM of 500, and I had them at 6 and 10 at best, and I'm currently very much winning that
Yeah,
bet.
very much.
So,
But anyways, shout out to No Hummus for coming in, stepping in, and getting his first cast under his belt. Great games that he got to cast as well. So much appreciation, Hummus, for stepping in there and helping out us at League Office with that cast. Moving on to the final game though, Unicorns, the absolute rout. The Vikings 6-2, which I think the biggest takeaway outside of just the loss is Short Stacks is out, which comes back to what we talked about earlier. The Pulverhouse getting the injury bug this week. I want to say she's out 4 weeks, isn't she?
he's out 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
But
Okay.
the thing though is that like the Vikings had 7 hits against the Unicorns. The issue is that Short Stacks was 3 for 3 at like the number 7 spot. And then you had your number 2 and your number 3 each at 2 hits as well.
Mm-hmm.
No one else had a hit. And that's
Yeah.
the issue with the Vikings, is that they have no consistency in their batting order, and there are players batting that should not be batting in the majors. Like you got like Spencer Reed that is just like, these are not good players right now. And listen, they had a really, really good run of it as of late. It's gonna take a lot for them to get that 6th seed, in my opinion.
Which they
Um,
they called up Ron Kinnings Jr. To DH and then moved. Who was it? They moved to first.
Gage to first. They
Gage
moved.
to first. So I don't know. I think Ron Kinnings Jr. is a great player, but for him to step up in such a massive time, like luckily, like looking at the schedule, they had the there's only 2 games in that 2 week span, if I'm not mistaken, that they have. Yeah, there's only 2 games, so they're only missing 2 games. It's against the Liberty and it's against the Express. The Express I'm a bit concerned about. That's one where I'm like, okay, this might be where the Express come in and upset the Vikings, which how much of an upset is it at this point? I'm not really sure. The numbers will tell us. The numbers will tell us.
I'm gonna. By the way, I am gonna be doing a rating of everything, so we'll see how things have shaken up after this past week. So
Oh,
we'll find out. But yeah, like it's the Express are not a bad team by any stretch
no,
of it. They can honestly hold their own against a lot of the teams in the heroic, especially. So
right.
yeah, I don't think it's unfair to say that. Here's the thing for the Vikings: they had an impossible task needing to beat the Unicorns, but it's still a game that they ended up losing as well,
Yeah.
and they're now a full game back of the Romfielders Retrievers, and it doesn't get any easier for them aside from those 2 easy games.
Right. Which one is not as easy as it may seem. It should be on paper. It looks easy, but that Express squad could come out of nowhere and shock the world on that one. Which that's the conclusion of our game recaps. We're gonna dive into what's kind of been talked about around the league, and a lot of it is heroic, which is actually a shock. Like everyone's like epic, 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 epic. The heroic doesn't get much shine. And like they're never in the spotlight as much as the epic is. So to talk about the heroic and more so the heroic triple crown, which is funny because this is a former epic player that is currently sitting at the triple crown, and that is Maya.
Yeah, Shiru and Mia, man.
Mia.
Here's the
However
thing
you want to
about it
pronounce it.
is that the Stingers traded away Mia, right?
Yep.
And they ended up saying, "Oh, we need a DH," and so they got Elmenreich. And then one of the players, granted, this is not why he traded away Mia, but Mia is a 513 batting average, 8 home runs, and 19 RBIs. Like it's just so funny with how players get after you trade them. He is
Yeah.
unbelievable for
Yep.
the
Yeah.
overdrafts.
Currently, and rightfully so. Obviously, outside of the triple crown, he is the front runner for the MVP race. In that heroic conference. I mean, I think it's a no doubter right now. That Shiro Omiya is the MVP, like number one. Like there's no doubt in my mind that I'm gonna go and say he's gonna win that one. I don't know if there's a like. I think Whitney also had like how close the next person is, and it's like not even close. Like it really is not even close in all categories. So Firu and Mia moving from epic to heroic, he might be the one to help get that overdrafts, that first ever playoff win. That's the thing. Will they get that first ever playoff win under their belt? And Mia could help them do that.
I definitely think that this could be the season that they do that, especially if they slot in as that third seed, and which kind of does lead into the heroic playoff race in general, which is a lot closer than you would expect. I think here's the thing with the Epic is that there are some very heavy hitters in the Epic, and there are some very big losers in the Epic, right? The
Yeah.
Mythic, the Angels suck. The Cyclones suck. Sorry, Josh, but the
No.
Skulls
Yeah.
suck. The
Yeah.
Sparrows suck. Whereas, like, you do that same thing for the Heroic, and it's okay, the Liberties suck. Moonshots suck. Walkers suck. And then it's Express, Knights, Vikings, Wrong Fielders, Retrievers. These are not top elite teams, but they're all pretty close together
Right.
in terms of how they line up to each other, how they've been this season. And that's what makes the Epic so interesting is that it's much more competitive in the heroic to get into postseason to like you don't have guaranteed wins as much as you do in the Epic.
Yeah.
And it's just really interesting to see how it's been panning out, especially with like the wrong fielders. They had that hot. I feel for the wrong fielders because season 5 Dragons happened to them, which I'll be talking about shortly.
Mhm.
But yeah, the wrong fielders, started out 4-0,
Yeah.
and since that 4-0 start are 2-5. And I know the feeling, man.
Yeah.
I know the feeling. My heart goes out to lasers because I know the feeling. But also, that's the way the league works. You go, and I'll tell you what, that's when it sucks the most, is when you go on a winning streak to start the season, and then you just start losing everywhere because it just feels like there's no hope.
Right. And looking at these, like, I guess we can call it the three teams on the like we'll call them on the bubble, even though two are technically in. But let's like we look at the Retriever schedule: Overdrafts on the road, Dragons on the road, Liberty on the road, Knights at home, Lumberjacks at home to finish the season. I mean, that's got like, in my opinion, that's got one gimme game, and I'm not going to call the Knights a gimme game in that situation because the Knights are the Knights, and the Knights can show up out of nowhere. So I'm not going to quite call that one a gimme game. It should be a win for the Retrievers, but I'm not going to call it a gimme at all. So that's a tough schedule. But looking at the wrong fielders schedule, Walkers, Gauchos, Moonshots, Overdrafts. That one is where it's like crap. If I'm the wrong fielders, I'm thinking crap. I have two, as we talked about, gimme wins, and the Walkers and the Moonshots, which they only beat the Walkers by one the first time around. So it's not like it was truly a gimme win by any means. But the Moonshots should be a win. Gauchos, both of those should be losses. Overdraft should be losses. So if that's the case, they end up 8-8. Which is kind of what you want, but at the same time, you could lose to the Walkers, and that's the biggest, in my opinion, out of this entire thing. That's the biggest game you got.
That Walker's game is huge.
That's the biggest game you got. You look at the Viking schedule, which is similar to that of the Retrievers. You have the Liberty, then the Express, then you have the Gauchos, Knights, Overdrafts. So both. Let's see, what was it? So overdrafts are the conclusion for both the Vikings and the wrong fielders, which if you're sitting here looking at the playoff race, the overdrafts control who the heck makes it in. Like, to be honest, like there's a good chance that the overdrafts are like, Vikings or wrong fielders, which one do we want?
Which one shall I choose?
Which one should we choose? I don't know.
Which is a position, let's be very clear here. It's a position that overdrafts have never been
in. Never been in. I mean, they get their first playoff appearance, I want to say it was last season. So it's like
I think it was 2 seasons ago.
Was it 2 seasons ago?
Because it was over me.
Okay.
Well, Yeah, did I not make postseason? It might have
Let
been
me pull up the
season
history books
back
here.
in the
Let me pull
SSBL
up the
history, Doc.
the
By the way,
playoff.
the same thing that got me the I was telling Winnie, the same thing that made the SOS and rank thing automatically update, I can do that for the record book as well.
Nice. So their first playoff appearance, excuse me, was season 5 where they
Which
went
was
0 and
over
2,
me. Yeah, it
which
was a
went
playing game versus me. That was when the Dragons started out 5-0 or 6-0 even. And
and
then
then they make it again in season 6, lose 2 games, so they're 0 and 4 overall in the postseason. Then they missed out last season. Um, so that is currently where we stand there. But the overdrafts are in the driver's seat basically on who makes the postseason. And if we just want to look at their schedule as well, Retrievers, Moonshots, Liberty, Wrongfielders, Vikings. That's probably in my opinion, the easiest schedule to end
well,
your
that's why they have the
season.
#1 ranked easiest schedule according to the SSBL ratings. So
So
congratulations, overdrafts,
yeah.
on your cake schedule.
So I mean it's going to be a very interesting ending to the season. This heroic playoff race is getting very interesting, not just at the bottom but also at the top. The top is getting very interesting as well, with the Gauchos losing a couple, the Lumberjacks losing a big one to the Bombers. You know, it's only a half game. Gauchos are a half game behind the Lumberjacks for that #1 seed. But the overdrafts are also 1 game back of the #1 or 2. Like they're half game back of the #2 seed and 1 game back from the #1 seed. So and then you have the Dragons sitting there in the middle. So it's this. I don't even think we're gonna know the seedings until the last week of the season.
Potentially, especially with the way it works out with the 3.
I think
Uh,
unicorns and like the Epic will know probably at least the top 4 seeds more, or we'll know 1, 2, and 4 probably, but not number 3, 5, and 6 for the Epic. But we might have to wait until the very, very, very last week of the season to know where 1 through 6 actually, who they actually are, because this could go any direction, because it's so tight compared to that of the Epic, which is usual is a per usual thing. Epic being such a dominant conference, and which is it also adds to it, as you mentioned earlier. Epic, you have this half awesome, this half trash. Heroic, it's like this this quarter.
Elite.
Exactly. It's like split into like 25% or no 10%, 10%, and then the remaining 80 is
It's like
just like
Christian denominations. There's like so many different sects and so many
right.
different like organizations.
Which I think it's time that you kind of just get some stuff off your chest. You know what I mean? Time to get your stuff off your chest. It is time for Mojo Down.
You know what's got my mojo down? Here's the deal, guys. Today, it's gonna be a softer voice. Partially because my roommate is still very much sleeping, but also I want to have a chat with you. Talk a little about this thing. Have you heard about our savior, RNGesus? RNG. This game, we have ratings. There are numbers. You put them in. I have even built my own tools to forecast the way that games go. You know what the best part of any sport is? It's when things happen that you would never expect. And guess what, guys? Get on the board of RNG and stop worrying about results that should happen. The Stingers have no business losing to the Angels. They have no business getting absolutely demolished by the Wildcats, and yet they are a half game back of the #1 seed in the Epic. This is what sport is. It is the underdogs overcoming and creating chaos. Stop saying and complaining about the fact that these Ryzen level players in the minors are able to upset normal players. Stop complaining about the records of teams based off of a small sample size. Guys, now we forgetting about Gina Muscles. Season 2. Anybody can come from anywhere. Listen, if you want to talk about teams sucking, why do you think Josh is still in the league? If it was all about winning, Josh would not be here anymore. They're still riding the coattails of season 5. Someone should let the Skulls of Rock organization and Josh know that we're in season 8 right now. All I am saying is that the best part of this league is the community. It's having fun. Take it from me. In season 5, when the Dragons were 6-0, I was riding Cloud 9. Didn't even make postseason that season. And yet, I still enjoy the league. Because at the end of the days, it's not about wins and losses. It's about Dragon specials and jacked balls.
Jacked ball. Oh my gosh!
They're gonna go on a. I want that.
We're gonna add that to like the Twitch like Moobot of jacked balls. It's just that's all it says is just jacked balls. Like it just randomly on a timer.
I want that. You know how like make this house a home, like
Yeah.
sort of like raise. I want one that says for Dragon specials and jacked balls.
Oh my gosh! Another great Mojo down by Fisack.
That's also a good T-shirt. You know how it's like for
Right.
Disney, it's like Han Solo and Skywalker and Chewbacca and or like Battlestar and Beats and Galactica, like that
Yeah.
shirt where it's at the ends. You could have like Dragon specials and Jack balls and rigged games and that could be like a shirt idea right there.
I'm down for new shirts, which by the way, you can purchase some merchandise currently at ssbl.tv/shop. Just plug that in there real quick. Moving on to Panic and Chill, and obviously the Pulver House tends to stay here more so for the Vikings and the Serpents. It's used also. It's really the Retrievers and Vikings. They live here. They like that name. I don't even
I think I saw them set up. I think I saw them move in the other day.
Yeah.
They got a nice. They got a nice two bed, two bath.
Yeah. They actually, I think I just have a Vikings layer and a Retrievers layer. I just hide them in the same spot because I know they're probably going to be there instead of typing it out again. But Vikings, man, they get this loss, you know, to the Unicorns, which is expected, but it's just the fact that they also get the injury, and it's the other teams are also losing, so they were out and now they're in, but they're in like they're not in, but they have a better shot at getting in. But the injury was short stacks, the wrong fielders losing, and Knights winning, and it's like the Vikings again. They don't have the bats. They don't have the utility to do so. And I'm gonna say that Rec Dream should have been on the Vikings a long time ago, over and over and over again, because that should have happened. I don't care if he's a season 4. I don't care at all. Season 4 or not, Rec Dreams could have carried you to your dreams of winning a Super Series instead of losing one, and or not even making postseason. And I think this is where, if you're a contender going forward, which next season it'll be S5s, right? It's like you got to target those. If you're going to win, if you're wanting to win, you got to go all in. You got to find a way to get those S4s for this season or the S5s for next season, and so on and so forth. It's just Vikings didn't take that chance to get those players, and it shows. And it literally shows. They could have gotten a couple of bats to really bolster the roster, and now they don't. And now they're sitting there outside looking in and scared shitless.
I'm actually gonna go with chill.
Really? What?
But here's the reason why. Look at their remaining schedule. If we're saying, I don't think it's unfair to say that I think in the heroic, 8-8 is enough to get you into a play-in game. Yes?
Yeah, fair enough.
Liberty and Express, they can take care of business there, which means between Gauchos, Knights, Overdrafts, they just need one. We already saw them nearly upset the Lumberjacks. They only lose short stacks for those Liberty and Express games. I still think the Vikings have their fate in their own hands here. And it's not great. It's not optimal. Do I think they should even be making postseason given their future and what they have? No, but I really do think that they're not the ones to have your eye out on in terms of missing postseason. I'm again, they're still on the ball, they're very much out, but I'm not as panicked as I am for some of these other teams. Like if I'm the Retrievers have Liberty and Knights is pretty much their only sort of gimme wins. I'm a little bit more panicking if I'm the Retrievers. I'm a little more panicking if I'm the wrong fielders, honestly. I feel like those are the ones that should be the most panicking. So I'm not saying that the Vikings shouldn't be panicking, but I just, in the broad scheme of things, I don't know if they're the ones with the hottest seat right now.
Right. And I mean, we did have the resident retrievers just get mentioned as well to panic. So I guess we don't even have to like put them on the
No,
sidebar. It's
we
just
can just
retrievers are
say
just part of it. It's just known. It's a part of it. That they're part of Panic and Chill. We're gonna talk about it this time.
the panic condominiums have
Right.
two residents.
Vikings and Retrievers, they are the current sponsor. They're sponsored by the Panic and Chill Association.
They're sponsored by the Panic Line.
Panic and Chill charity foundation, like some foundation for Panic and Chill. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you to the some extent about their schedule in particular, but you know, they gotta also like I am thanking Fisack for winning that game against the Knights, because if they didn't win that game against the Knights, it's a whole different story.
They're at 4-7, and their season is over.
Yeah, so shout out to the Fisack family and for having it's Liam over there, right? Liam Fisack.
Yeah, the Fisack family.
So moving on, and you know, these are the gimme games. You know, everyone's talking about it in you know, SSBL chat. They talked about it a little bit in our Jack general chat on Discord as well. Which if you aren't in the Discord, make sure you do click the link in the description below and join the Discord for a lot of fun and all that stuff. There we go, another plug, perfect. But gimme games is like, are these games that you really kind of in the back of your mind have that slight panic because anything, I mean, obviously it's RNG, anything can happen, and oh my gosh, what just happened on your screen? I am panicking. What was that? Oh,
that
my
was
Lanta.
amazing. That was amazing to see your reaction.
What? First off, you get frozen. You might become a freaking emote on Twitch based off of your
honestly,
your
I would love to
face.
be an emote. That would be amazing.
I might have to go back and cut you out earlier because I'm getting, you were like super focused. You when this goes live, which it'll probably go live at 5 p.m. Central Time, by the way. Fisack, just to let you know, on Saturday. But yeah, it's that was crazy. Okay, anyways, gimme games. it's those games where it's like you're supposed to win. You talked about it in Mojo Down. It's like you're supposed to win these games. You're supposed to beat these pitchers that are way better. Like your pitching staff is way better than them, but you lose. These gimme games aren't really gimme games at this point in the season, in my opinion, unless you're playing the Moonshots, Liberty, or Mythic. Those are probably the three I would say are the gimme games. I don't think anyone else can be. Angels, forgot the Angels. Can't forget the Angels. Which, to be honest, they're out of all the gimme games, they're the ones that have showed up the most. So
they got that dog in them.
So I just think these gimme games are really more of a panic game, because you're sitting there watching the stream, you know, eating, you know, your popcorn, drinking. I wish we had a drink sponsor. Drinking your sponsored beverage of the SSBL.
Turtle Beach, we need you to launch a beverage line.
So you know, sitting there with your your headset in, you know, maybe it's your Scout Airs that you won from Turtle Beach, part of the SSBL game of the night. But it's like you're sitting there with panic in the back of your mind, because it's like, I know that every game the Skulls play, that's how my gut feels, but I know we're gonna lose. But at the same time, I'm still panicking every time. Like okay, we just gave up a home run, like rage quit, like quick close out of the app on my phone. That's typically how it works. So these gimme games though, are they really panic games, or are these teams that are in these gimme games now? Do they still is it kind of a chill moment for them?
I'm still chill, and I'm doing it chill from an outside perspective because I love watching them. Now, from a team perspective, maybe, but I'm from a SSBL standpoint,
Yeah,
from a viewership standpoint, I love it. I
yeah,
love the gimme games because I love the chaos that ensues.
right.
It's just I still remember that call for the Angels Stingers game. Like
Mm-hmm.
I live for the upsets, which is why I'm also excited for Dragons Walkers. Because even though I absolutely demolish my rival every single season, it's always good to have that rivalry
Right,
game because you never know when the Walkers are going to show up
right.
just to put a little spunk into it.
And as a spectator, I absolutely love these gimme games because, to your point, it gets
It's fun to
chaotic. It
watch.
gets chaotic. It's great for the entertainment value of the SSBL. But obviously, as a manager, I think it's a little bit of more, especially with every game mattering now. Literally every game mattering. It is. I'm panicking on in the at least in the back of my mind. I'm not maybe showing it, you know, but in the back of my mind, I'm probably panicking with these gimme games because the Angels have showed that anything can truly happen. The Retrievers are one suspect, the Stingers are the other. If we look at the Angels' schedule on the other side, what do we got? We got the good old Sparrows. That's not an upset, really. Mythic Bombers, Ball Players. Those are the two gimme games that we can call for the Angels at this point. Which the Bombers and Angels have a history with probably the longest game in SSBL history. I think 17 innings in season 2 or 3. It was insane. Henry McHenry hit a walk-off home run. It was nuts. After he. So just for a story time with the commish here, Henry McHenry botched an easy fly ball that ended up making it like a tie game or something like that, where it was such an easy out, should be almost game over at this point. Botched it. And then we go to inning number 10, 11, 12. And somewhere in there, there is a play where someone throws home instead. It was, I gotta find the clip somewhere. It was nuts. It was insane. I do have it somewhere. I gotta find it. But
Can we rename Commissioner Storytime to Joshing Around?
joshing around. I'm down for that. So anyways, the Angels and Bombers do have a history. I'm not going to try to speak anything into existence because I'm not LeVar Ball. I'm not that guy. I'm not going to try to speak something into existence. So that's just something to note, though. Angels are probably, out of all the gimme games, the one I'd be most panicked about. But heading into week number 10. 10 of the SSBL.
Dun, 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 dun.
Don't we just love doing this podcast, man?
Honestly,
Such a great time.
it's the highlight of my week.
Such a great time. Which I can't wait for the playoff versions of this.
Oh my
It's gonna be
god!
so much fun. We're gonna have to come up with more segments. So if you guys have any
I
segments for
think joshing
postseason,
around is a good
I
segment.
like that
Like
one.
we pull up the Twitch clips of like
Just
of a
joshing
moment
around.
in SSBL history.
I am down. I'll try to start finding some of those. One of my favorite ones, by the way, is Maxwell's. It was the first ever pitcher getting hit by a ball. It was on opening day of the SSBL, and it was. And at that time, I was very. My casting voice was very like trying to be like very like almost like staccato at a point, right? So I'm like, oh my god, Maxwell
He
is
hit the
out.
ball. The Maxwell he got to hit it with the ball.
So yes, I'm down for that. Anyways, moving on to a week ahead. It's a Super Saturday week here in the SSVL, which is always a fun time. And we got some pretty solid matchups for our Turtle Beach game of the night. First one, Lumberjack Scout Shows. This is a fight for that number 1 seed right now. So this is, looking at all of these, I'd probably say this is the most probably the most important game, I'd say. Yeah. if you're gonna rank them out of importance, I'd probably
Or
say it's number
okay, if
one.
in terms of for like seeding, in terms of like top tier teams, yes, I would agree.
With
Well,
probably
actually, no, I
that's
would
what
say
I'm.
ball players
So
unicorns
that's what
is
I'm
number
saying.
one.
That was the one that was like staring at me, saying, "Hey, pick me, pick me, pick me." But I think the
Hey, Mr. Commissioner.
I think the Lumberjacks Gauchos though, with it being one versus number two seed, we're gonna get number one a hell of a game. I think it's gonna be a fantastic game. You have the Lumberjacks winning 4-3. I have the Jacks winning 5-2. It is at Motor Yard, and I do think the Jacks bats are going to come out swinging, and it's going to be a nice game for the Jacks offense. I don't know who the pitching matchup is. I'm pretty sure it's what number one for the Gauchos, if I'm not mistaken.
Uh, that no, it's number 3 for the Gauchos.
Who? Oh, so who went last? It was Carter who
Jake
went.
Carter just went. It's Hattie May who's
Okay,
next.
so that's gonna be a really good game then.
Versus Baronies.
Okay, so
Baron, actually Baron Baronies. That's my own player, and I can't even say his
Baron
name.
Baron Barony. So a 3 versus 4 matchup. I'm still gonna go with the Lumberjacks here, just because of the bats. So yeah, I'm gonna go with that one. We move on to day number 2. This one is is the rematch of the Icons top, which obviously we talked about the Retrievers and how they panic every single week or chill every single week, and they're like up and down, left and right. You and I have the Overdrafts winning this one, getting their redemption. You have it close. You have it with a
We
close.
both have it
We
close,
both
but
have it
I have
close,
it
but
as a
you have it with
high.
a high scoring game. You have it 8-7. I personally don't think the Retrievers can score that many runs. So I think 5-4 is mine. I think 4 is a good number of runs for the Retrievers to score. Overdrafts, though, with a 1-run game from both of us. So it should be a close one. Should be a great one to watch as well, just overall, if you're a fan of the SSBL. And then moving on, this one is the one that you talked about as possibly the best game and most important game out of all of
Honestly,
them.
with the biggest implications,
Yeah,
without a doubt.
no, for sure. Ball players versus unicorns. Unicorns, you have them winning 4-3. I have them winning 3-1. But we're gonna quickly. I'm gonna look at the current division standings here. The ball players are looks like 1 game back of the Stingers,
Yeah, if
where
all players win, would put the Stingers into the number 1 seed.
ball players win, yeah, because it'd be 10-2 for the unicorns and an 11-2 or yeah, 11-2 for Stingers. So well, I mean, obviously that depends on Stingers winning, which would be on day 1, so that'd be 12-2. So yeah, a ball players win gets the Stingers at number 1 spot. Not secured, obviously, but at least puts them in there for the time being. Then we move to Super Saturday, which I can't wait for this matchup, man. This matchup is a matchup that everybody has been waiting for all season long. Moonshots, Liberty, round 1. Liberty gonna take this one though. You have Liberty at 9-7. I have Bibberty at 5-3, and yes, I have now changed the acronym from LBR to BBR.
Which I joked earlier. I think I played that growing up, and then Josh was like, "Isn't that DDR?" It's like, "Yeah, it's the joke, Josh."
Just making sure that you know your games. Man. That's all I'm asking.
I'll be honest. I wake up in the morning and I barely know who I even am.
You're Liam Freishack.
No, I'm Will Freishack. Leon's my evil twin.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You don't know.
That's the joke, Will.
Right back at you, Will. Then we end our week 10, which I just still can't believe it's week 10 already. Knights versus Dragons.
Get my team's name out of your mouth, Josh. Last week you went 1-2. You're 9-5 overall. I went 3-0. I'm 10-4 overall. You know how I did that? By keeping my team's name out of my mouth. Get my team's name out of your mouth.
But you have Dragons winning 5-4, so that's in your mouth, isn't it? All right, so I have the Knights 6-3. I have the Knights 6-3. I think this is just one of those games. Like I said, the Knights are going to be around just trying to say, ha ha, I'm going to play some tricks on you. You think you're going to get, you know, a number 4 seed, number 5 seed? No. You're not even going to make postseason. Not the case in this one. But, you
Can I
know.
just tell you what happened there? I thought of the meme before I realized that you didn't even select my own team.
Yeah, I didn't.
I was like, this is a meme. I can do the meme.
Nope.
And then, yeah,
you're the one who chose your team is in your mouth.
I can put my team's name in my mouth.
So you have your team winning 5-4 though. You have a closer game than I do. I have it 6-3. I don't know. I think the Knights bats are going to win. Who's the matchup in this one?
It is Sasso.
Sasso, and then for the Knights,
the Knights,
which we're looking at from the game's perspective, we
computing. It'll be their third,
the 11th. So yeah, they're number 3, which is Shep Franks, coming off a 10 strikeout performance. Will we see Shep Franks return again for another performance? We don't know. But we do know that Duketown will probably hit a home run somewhere in this game because he comes out of nowhere and he just hits one.
It's a little bit too late,
yeah.
but thanks, Duketown. Thanks, Duke.
Duketown will come in and hit a home run somewhere in this game.
What can Duke do for you?
Which that leads us to obviously we conclude our podcast with the selection of this week's winner of the Turtle Beach headset, because you participated in SSBL Game of the Night presented by Turtle Beach, and the winner this week is Lasers. Come on down, you are the winner of this week's Turtle Beach headset. Lasers. Which everyone, it looks like people are starting to receive their headsets. If you've won the last few weeks, just be patient. They're coming. They're going to be on their way soon. Everything is kosher. But everyone's starting to receive their headsets. And yes, there are some that are, you need a little bit of maybe a splitter. You need to just use your brain to like try to find ways to make it work for PC. Because there are ways to do so. And or you just get, a mic like this and just use the headset as literally headphones, and we'll conclude it here. I think this is a great way to conclude it. Thanks for everyone for watching Jacked here on YouTube. We're here every single Saturday. Sundays are minors. Minors are concluding. Minors are almost done. You're pointing that thing at me again. So I'm Jay
Minors are
alongside
almost
Fisack,
done.
and that'll do it. See you guys next week for episode 10.
Oh, wow, we're gonna do it. 10.
Keep on rigging, everybody.
Keep on rigging, everybody.